What's good, YouTube? It's Justice I Used to Be Paying. Today I'm back with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the Drake and UMG situation and why I feel like we really need to get serious about this whole thing and really start having more conversations surrounding it, and how I feel like the media, funny enough, I kind of am the media, but like the media is kind of just glazing over this thing. But before I get into that, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. It helps me out a ton. We all got our jokes off at Drake's expense when he came out with these two petitions, these two legal petitions that are supposed to lead to lawsuits when it came to Not Like Us and the whole UMG Spotify situation. It was great. All right, we got our jokes off. I made some jokes. You made some jokes. We all laughed. It was a good time. Making fun of Drake is really easy, okay? You could say, he's soft. This is the worst move in rap beef history. I'm all for it, all right? But I think we need to start talking about this situation a little bit more serious. These petitions a little bit more serious, at least the first one in particular. Because the first one is accusing UMG and Spotify of kind of colluding together and illegally boosting this song Not Like Us with bots and payola and things of that nature. Now, the second one, we can just throw the second one away. I don't care about the defamation lawsuit with UMG because that's just ridiculous. Like, saying your label should have protected you more, and I don't care about that. But specifically that first one needs to be talked about more, because if this does come to fruition, if Drake is able to sue UMG, if Drake is able to win a lawsuit with UMG and Spotify, this could have major ramifications throughout the industry. This could be something that's damn near groundbreaking. If he's able to not only get some evidence for what he's claiming, but be able to prove it in court and then win. That could lead to a whole bunch of new rules and a whole bunch of new reshaping of the entire music industry. And I just really don't like the way that the media has covered this situation, because it was kind of like it came on their desks, these big media radio stations, these big media pundits who are, on these huge stations and these major companies. And it's just kind of like they looked at it and they're like, haha, look at Drake. He's a clown. And we were like, yeah, Drake's a clown. Haha, he's suing. Wow, this is crazy. But then they never really got into it. They just kind of looked at it and just said, oh, well, if you're paying attention to this, then you're just ridiculous. Like, everyone just needs to know that Drake is soft and whatever. Like, we don't need to care about what's actually going on here. Just move on with it, and you're ridiculous for even looking into this. And that's where they lost me. The kind of dismissal of what was claimed in this petition, and the fact that this isn't a bigger story, is kind of weird to me, and it kind of speaks to maybe some foul play from UMG. I don't know. I'm just speculating. I'm not saying that UMG is, specifically telling media pundits what to say and having control over the media. I'm just saying that I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because the manner in which everyone just kind of looked at it and just went, whatever, is really weird. Now, I want to say this because I do think that this is very, very important. If you're going to ask me, do I believe that Not Like Us was botted? My answer is going to be yes. Now, it's not for the reason that you think. It's not because I'm a Drake fan and, oh my God, go Drake, they cheated. No. I believe it's botted because I believe most of the stuff in the industry is botted, especially the really, really big stuff. Now, that doesn't change the fact that Not Like Us was going to be a hit regardless. Not Like Us is a cultural banger that you can't create. You can't create a Not Like Us just by pressing some label buttons, making some calls. Hey, we'll give you 100,000 if you play this song on the radio 10 times an hour. There's nothing that you can do as a label or as a higher up to create a cultural banger like what happened with Not Like Us. I want that to be established as well. Not Like Us was a song that was going to do what it was going to do, regardless of any botting, regardless of any payola, regardless of any colluding and conspiring by UMG and Spotify. It was going to be what it was without any of that. But I do believe that they probably did bot it in the beginning. So I want that to be established. I'm not saying that this song wouldn't have done anything and they did. This is all UMG doing this. Nobody would have cared about Not Like Us. Not Like Us is a cultural banger like Hit 'Em Up to me. That Hit 'Em Up and Not Like Us are on the same level of cultural banger, gonna be played forever type of song. All right, that's what Not Like Us is. It's always going to be a banger. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that this wouldn't have happened without UMG, but I am saying I do believe that they probably did bot this. Like, if you put a gun to my head and made me choose, did they bot it or did they not bot it, I would say they did bot it. My main issue here is just with the possible corruption in the music industry, okay? The bots that possibly were there or weren't there with Not Like Us wouldn't have changed the result of the song. So for any Kendrick fan that's super, diehard and was going to be super upset with me leaving mean comments because they thought I was saying Drake would have won without the bots, that's not what I'm talking about here, okay? And I also want to establish that Drake isn't a freedom fighter for this. He's not some sort of martyr. the Drake is really just trying to get some sort of leverage over UMG, or have some leverage over UMG with these petitions, because the word on the street is Drake is in negotiations with UMG, his label. And recently he got a deal from UMG for like $400 million, which is crazy. That's a huge record deal. And now he's in negotiations and he's coming for a re-up because they believe that he, recouped his money in his contract. And he's saying, look, I got 400 last time, 400 million. I got that back to y'all in how quickly did I do that? How quickly did I recoup the money? I did 2 world tours, or not 2 world tours. I did 2 tours across America. I'm about to do a world tour. And I also dropped like 3 or 4 albums. Like, how fast did y'all get that money? Yeah, I'm gonna need like 600 this time. So Drake is asking for more money, but UMG is looking at him and saying, oh, slow down, nephew. Like, you doing good for yourself, but you just lost that beef to Kendrick Lamar, and your stock is definitely lowered. Public perception on you, it ain't looking too hot. So I don't know if we can give you more than what we gave you last time. We might even need to give you less than what we gave you last time. And so Drake saw that and he said, okay, bet. That's how y'all want to play it. Y'all want to go with this Kendrick route. Okay, Kendrick beat me. Okay, cool. Well, we can go to court and I'm going to prove that this is botted. And once I prove that this is botted, you're just going to have to pay me anyway. So that's the word on the street. And I tend to believe that that's probably the reality of the situation that we're in. Drake is not doing this out of the kindness of his heart. Okay, this is an 100% selfish move by Drake, and he's looking to get something from this. This isn't him fighting for all these independent artists who aren't signed, who are maybe falling victim to this collusion and this corruption by Spotify and UMG. This is him saying, hey, this is unfair. Look at this, guys. They're doing me unfair. Come help me out. And even though this is selfish by Drake, this could end up in the end helping a lot of people, regardless of what his true intentions are and what's, in his heart. This could be something that really changes the industry. So I'm not going to sit up here and try to give Drake props for fighting for the little guy and fighting for what's right in the music industry, especially considering he was on the other side of this botting and collusion and Spotify, UMG. He was behind all this stuff on the other side of all this stuff not that long ago. So I'm not going to give him credit for pointing out what's being done that's unfair and that it's not right when he's now on the other side of the barrel, when he's looking down the barrel of the gun. I'm not going to give him credit for that, because why didn't you say anything 5-10 years ago? When it was benefiting you, it was all cool. But now that it's not benefiting you, you have to ring the alarm. Now we need to talk about what exactly Drake is accusing UMG and Spotify of doing. He's accusing them of conspiring together to make the song Not Like Us bigger using illegal tactics. Drake accused UMG of manipulating the streaming services with bots and pay-to-play agreements to make the song go viral. But the possibly groundbreaking and really just insane thing that he's accusing them of doing is he's accusing UMG of charging Spotify licensing rates 30% lower than usual in exchange for recommending the song to artists to users who are searching for other unrelated songs and artists. And for those who don't know, a licensing rate is a fee paid for the use of a licensed product or intellectual property. The licensor grants the licensee permission to use the IP under certain conditions, and the license rate is set out in a license agreement. To make this maybe a little bit simpler, let's just say UMG allows Spotify to use their licensed songs and stuff on their streaming service for $10 per stream. That would be ridiculous. That price would be insane, but that's just, simple numbers, easy, right? So let's just say if I'm UMG and I have an artist who drops a song, I say, hey, Spotify, play the song, put it on your platform, give me $10 every time it gets a stream. Cool, everything's great. That's what our rate is. Every time I present to you some songs to put on your platform, you're going to give me $10 per stream. Great. Everyone's agreeing, shaking hands. Everyone knows this. Great. This is amazing. Wow. So much fun. Now I go to Spotify. I'm UMG and I'm on the low like, hey, psst, don't tell nobody, but on this song specifically, give me $7 per stream. You can keep the extra 3, but I need you to push this song. I need you to put this song everywhere. Like when they search up Morgan Wallen, this song needs to show up. When they search up Sabrina Carpenter, this song needs to show up. When they search up the Beatles, this song needs to show up. I need you to put this wherever you can, okay? If UMG is able to do that with Spotify, you see how that would be really just blatantly unfair and corrupt. If they're under the table changing what the established baseline licensing rate is on a song-to-song basis and it's under the table, That's corruption. That's not fair. That's an unfair playing field for the music industry. And that's not really representative of what the people like, because the Spotify and what pops up, what gets recommended is supposed to be representative of what people are listening to and what people like and what people want to hear. But if now you're changing the licensing rate in order to push this song and put it in a whole bunch of places where it doesn't belong, you're not representing what the people actually want. And you're representing what UMG wants. You're representing what the labels paid for rather than what the people want. And if Drake is under UMG and Kendrick's under UMG and Drake is still sitting at that regular rate of $10 per stream, but Kendrick is at this reduced rate of $7 per stream in order for his stuff to be put in all these different places, you can see how Drake would want to sound the alarm on that. Now, I'm not saying that that's for sure what UMG did. We don't know. Drake could just be making this up, but that's what he's claiming in this lawsuit, basically. Drake is accusing UMG of using payola, which is paying radio stations to play specific songs without disclosing the fact that they were paid to do so, which is illegal. He's also claiming that, a podcast like NFR Podcast was paid to make content surrounding Not Like Us and not having to disclose the fact that they were paid, which is illegal. And if Drake's petitions actually get passed or whatever, I think it's coming on like December 20th, then UMG and Spotify will have to present him with the possible evidence to prove these claims he's making. He's also looking for other parties to sue because he believes other parties are involved and possibly guilty as well, like an iHeartRadio who was listed under the possible mentions of payola. If these claims are true, then that means the game is flat out rigged. UMG, one of the biggest cornerstones of entertainment, is conspiring with another massive cornerstone of entertainment in Spotify. And they're conspiring to control the content that we get. They're conspiring to rig the game. And this is something that people have been saying for decades. For decades. This is something that people have been saying for years and years and years. Everyone's saying the game is rigged. Spotify can just press a button. The labels can just press a button, specifically more with the labels. They can just push these guys, industry plant this, industry plant that. This is something people have been complaining about for years. And so if Drake is able to get in there and this petition is successful and he's provided with the evidence that he needs to possibly prove this, this could change the industry. This could be huge. This could be massive. If Drake is able to be successful in this setting, in this legal setting, and prove that the game is rigged, then we would actually have full 100% proof in a legal setting. We wouldn't have just rumors anymore. It wouldn't just be, disgruntled artists whose careers didn't really go the way that they wanted, saying that the game is rigged. So you can say, well, maybe it is rigged, but maybe you're just mad that you didn't get the money that you wanted out of your career. This isn't, a random YouTuber like myself. This isn't a faceless YouTuber talking about how the game is rigged. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This would be 100% proof that the game is rigged in a legal setting. So regardless of whether you like Drake or not as an artist or even as a person, however you look at him, it doesn't matter. I feel like as people, we should all be kind of excited to see this petition possibly be successful and Drake possibly get the evidence he needs. Whether he's being a Karen, whether he's being just salty because he lost the beef, whatever, who cares what his reasoning is? If we're able to get proof that this game is rigged and there's some possible legal stuff, legal groundwork that's going to be done after this, I think that's a good thing. What I think is really interesting about this situation is the way that media talks about this. Now, I'm not saying that UMG is, feeding any of these guys pockets or that UMG is making sure they're covering this situation a specific way, but it feels like all of the major media pundits that are underneath a huge company, have a huge corporation that they're employed by, it feels like they just kind of dismissed this. They were just kind of like, this is stupid. Drake saw, come on, get out of here with that. Just get this out of here. Let's just move on to the next topic. When it's Drake, one of the biggest artists in the world, suing his label, this should be a major story regardless of what he's suing them for. But even when we talk about specifically that first petition, right? They talk about it in two ways. It's one of two ways. Either one, they portray the petition as if he was suing Kendrick. They kind of talk about it in a manner that would, in which, if you're not really that informed or you haven't really looked into it too much, if you're just somebody listening to your favorite podcaster or your favorite hip hop personality, you would just think, okay, well, Drake's suing Kendrick. What the hell? He's a softie. This isn't rap. This isn't hip hop. Or they just say, well, Drake, you benefited from bots, you benefited from payola, so don't bring it up now. Those are the two ways that they typically talk about this if they're employed by a major media company. Now, is Drake possibly suing in the heat of battle? Soft, of course. Hell yeah, it's not hip hop, it's not rap, whatever. I don't care about that though. When we're talking specifically about this petition and what it could mean, I think it is very interesting that they cover it in those two ways. Either They portray it in a way that if you're just listening to it and you don't really know anything about the situation, you think he's suing Kendrick, or he's a hypocrite. We should listen to him regardless. And my thing is, I don't care about Drake being a hypocrite. That doesn't mean anything to me. I couldn't care less about what Drake's got going on. I care about the possible evidence that could come as a result of this. This could be crazy, right? If he was able to prove this, this would be insane. So I don't care about Drake being a hypocrite. And honestly, I hope that Drake is being a hypocrite, because if there's anybody on this earth that would know about payola, know about, botting, know about pay-to-play agreements, know about conspiring to get people to post your stuff, know about possible licensing rate changes to get Spotify to put your face everywhere, it would be Drake, right? If anyone on earth knew about all this stuff, it would be Drake, one of the biggest artists in the world over the last 15 years. So in my opinion, him being a hypocrite in this situation is better for his case. I'm glad that it's Drake, because imagine if this was YB and Namir suing one of his labels, suing his label and being like, oh, well, y'all are conspiring to do this and y'all are botting this, and people would be like, bro, what? Like, what are you talking about? You don't even know. But if anybody in the game would know about this, it would be Drake. Drake has been one of the most pushed guys in the industry ever, especially in rap. Drake's face has been everywhere. Drake was literally the face of every single Spotify playlist at a single point. Every single one when Scorpion was coming out. It didn't matter if it was country, R&B, exercise, jazzercise. It didn't matter what it was. He was on the face of that playlist. And that was a big deal. People were really mad about that. So if there's anybody who knows about botting and payola, it would be Drake. And that's why I'm like, okay, I can believe this now. I can be a little bit more invested into this. If this was, Smoke Perp, I'd be like, he's probably just coping because his career didn't go the way it did, or the way he wanted it to. But now that it's Drake and he's possibly being a hypocrite here, which I believe he definitely is, I think that there's more merit to what he's claiming. My favorite example of the way that media has covered this is Charlamagne. Charlamagne goes on an epic rant about this situation, and he's cooking Drake. All right, Charlamagne, he put Drake in a blender. He was frying him, and I agreed with most of everything he said, but I think it's just very interesting how he covered this situation.
All I'm saying, Aubrey, is stop acting like you haven't been the beneficiary of record label technology, okay? You being a whole hoe simply because you lost. Simply because Kendrick Lamar kicked your ass lyrically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. And anybody acting like this is anything more than Drake's feelings being hurt, you a hoe too. A OV hoe to be exact, okay? He's fighting the same war that Michael Jackson fought. Drake is taking a stand for the art and the artist. People who are running with that narrative would hold Drake's penis while he pees and shake it for him when he's finished. Okay, Drake has been handling this terribly since Not Like Us dropped. And please, let's keep this in mind. Drake, you're in this position because you tapped out. Okay, you chose to tap out after you heard Not Like Us. Kendrick dropped too much tune for your head top. Okay, he gave you Euphoria, 616 in LA, Meet the Grams, and Not Like Us. It was too much for you because you didn't have to tap out after the Hard Part 6. You could have went in the studio and gave us a bop. You the bop guy. You could have got with some ghostwriters, went in the studio and wrote a hit to combat Not Like Us, but you chose not to. You tapped out. Kendrick won, and he told you to squabble up, not lawyer up, but you chose to get the lawyers because you lost the squabble.
Charlamagne right there is just emptying the clip into Drake, and Charlamagne is just loving this, because if you know anything about Charlamagne, him and Drake have, let's just say, a rocky relationship, and he's typically not a fan of Drake, but I don't mind him trashing Drake the entire clip. That's fine. I don't care. Who cares about that? But I think it's just very interesting that he, paints it as if oh, if you're looking into this, you're just a Drake glazer and you're just in love with Drake. Anybody that's actually taking this serious is just in love with Drake. I don't give a damn about Drake. I don't care. Drake can make another classic album or he can go away, whatever. That's cool with me. But it's just very interesting the way he's portraying this, and he says that, Drake wouldn't be suing if he lost the beef. And I actually agree with him. I don't think that Drake would be suing if he would have lost the beef, because if he would have beat Kendrick in the beef, he would have been way more valuable and went to, UMG and maybe said, I need 800 million this time. So I agree with that. I don't think he sues if he loses the beef, because again, I don't think Drake is doing this out of the kindness of his heart or because he just wants to expose the industry and he wants everything to be fair. But that doesn't change what he's accusing UMG and Spotify of doing. At least to me, it doesn't. And Charlamagne even says, Drake has been on the other side of what he calls record label tricknology. So he addresses the fact and actually says that, I think that there's some sort of, trickery being done here. There's some sort of unfair play being done here. And Drake has been somebody on the other end of it. So if you're acknowledging the fact that Drake probably has benefited from record label tricknology, why is it ridiculous in this case to say that there was some record label tricknology done here and that he might have a point? in the lawsuit, regardless of the Kendrick beef, regardless of the culture, regardless of anything. Why can't we have a discussion about this possible record label technology? Because it shouldn't exist, right? He called it technology for a reason, because it's not supposed to, it's not what's supposed to be done. It's unfair. It's not supposed to be happening. So if it's technology, who cares if it's for Kendrick? Who cares if it's for Drake? Who cares if it's for J. Cole? Who cares if it's for Kanye West? If we can start to expose the technology, why can't we have that conversation? And, maybe this is just Charlamagne's true take, but I think it is very interesting that he is employed by iHeartRadio, which is one of the radio stations that was possibly accused of payola. I'm not saying that iHeartRadio told him to go up there and just completely dismiss this whole thing and make it look ridiculous, but I do think it's very interesting that all of, major media seems to be covering this in a way that's just like close and shut. This is just Drake being salty. Nobody needs to look into anything further. Just go back, go pay attention to something else. This is not important, okay? Do not look into this because it's silly. You don't have to. I looked into it. Trust me. That's kind of how everyone seems to be covering it. And maybe that's just happenstance. Who knows? But I think that there's a real conversation that needs to be had here. Why are we not talking about this more? That's why I'm making this video. Because what is the possible outcome for Drake if he's proved right, if his claims have some merit, if he wins a lawsuit down the line? What are the ramifications of that? Is this some sort of new legal precedent coming in? Is the FBI going to have to step in with the music industry? They've done it before. What is going to happen here? And I think the thing that we can all kind of assume, at least at the moment, is that the playing field will at least get very much washed out and a lot more even if what Drake is claiming has some merit, and then there's some probably legal precedent that's going to come after that, because that would be a crime. The stuff that they're doing would be illegal. So I'm sure that there would be some sort of legal workings that would have to happen here, because you can't just allow a major corporation to be committing crimes, right? I mean, well, now that comes out of my mouth, I kind of realize what I said, and that kind of does happen either way. But still, hypothetically, if Drake were to win this and there was some merit to his claims, you would assume that there'd be major shakeup in the industry. And that shakeup would be in the benefit of the people who actually represent what people want to listen to, what people actually care to listen to, rather than these people who are just getting the button pushed on them by a label. This is a RICO lawsuit, and if Drake actually has some merit to his claims and there's some evidence and he ends up winning a lawsuit down the line, this could lead to some more regulation in the music industry and really cleaning up the streets, to put it in a proverbial way. Again, Drake's doing this 100% out of selfishness, 100% for negotiation reasons. He does not care about the little guy and trying to help everyone else out. But regardless, that could be the result of what we're looking at here. And I think that that's something worth talking about. Possibly making it easier for independent artists and smaller artists as a whole to just have a little bit more success, and removing just a little bit of the label's powers in the music industry, removing the ability, or at least most of the ability, for the label to really just kind of push the button on specific artists and just push them as much as they can using some of these tactics. Taking that away, or at least helping take that away, would be really impactful on the music scene. It's not going to change the guys at the very top, the Drakes, the Kendricks, the Travis Scotts. Those guys are going to be fine regardless if their label can press the button or not. But those guys kind of in the middle range of cloud, where they're kind of bubbling up, but you're not really sure where they're going to go, those guys might be heavily affected by this. They might be taken completely off course. And record labels and their experiment rappers, their industry plant rappers that they're trying to push into the game, they might not be able to do what they normally could do before something like this happened with this possible lawsuit. So I am in favor of anything that's going to possibly take some power out of the label's hands and make the music industry a lot more representative of what the fans want and what the people are listening to. Anything that can make Spotify a little bit more representative of what people actually want to hear, I'm 100% on board with. So regardless of Drake and his selfish reasons, his selfish aspirations, his negotiation aspirations, him just trying to get some leverage over UMG, I don't care. This could be something that's really interesting in the industry and really quite possibly groundbreaking if some of these claims are true, especially that licensing rate one. So I'm in support of this petition. I know it's soft. I know it looks terrible in terms of the beef, but he lost that a long time ago in my mind. I don't really care about that. When talking about this specific petition, I think it's very interesting that the media dismissed this in the way that they did. And I think that might have been on purpose. And I think that might have been to keep people's eyes off of it just a little bit. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. If you made it this far, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. Make sure you have a good day. Be safe. Be blessed. I go by the name of Pay. Peace.